Hey you guys, it's Amy Gretchen. Welcome back. In this video, I'm going to be doing a Project Life process video using Ali Edwards Story Kit family. So this week is actually going to be the week of, it's week 17 in 2019. So it's in April. It's like the end of April. So it's fun to be able to look at some of these spring photos as we are moving into fall. So this is a really fun kit. I really like the colors. They kind of muted, feel a little fall to me, even though it's not like orange and yellow. But I really love the feel of the colors and of the products. And I really enjoyed the cards. So I've actually looked through the cards and kind of looked through the kit. These circles, these are definitely a favorite product in this kit. I haven't seen her do anything like this. They are pretty big, but I am determined to figure out a way to include them into my Project Life. So I don't know if you can see that, but it is a large, messy circle that's got a quote on them. So you got pink, the gray, and the green, or is it a green or it's, yeah, it's kind of a olivey green there. And so anyways, I'm just gonna get started working on this and pulling things from the kit to put this layout together. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is put my photos down. So this is typically what I do, even though lately when I've been doing a Project Life spread, it seems like I already have photos in the pockets because I've done that ahead of time. I didn't have these photos printed before I worked on it, so I'm just going to do it now. And you can see that I've got 2 3x4 photos as well. Those ones have a white border. And then I'm looking to fill in the gaps with some of the 4x6 cards that came in the kit. The one on the left that is typically in the title page, I really loved that quote and I wanted to include it, but there's no room for any of the dates for the week like I typically put on there. So you'll see how I end up adding the dates for the week. I end up just putting it on a 3x4 card. And I'm going to have to remember that option because I really enjoyed how that looked different having the date on the 3x4 card. The other card that I chose, the other 4x6 card, it says family is in each of the circles. And I thought it'd be fun to use a stamp set. I think it was the stamp set that came in this story kit type. And I'm going to be using that to stamp on there. I actually thought that it would probably be easier just to print it out. I have the digital version and just print it out having typed on there, but I like the idea of having these big typed out words. So that is what I'm going to do. You'll definitely see that coming up. And now moving on to these big messy circles, which I already mentioned that I absolutely loved. I thought that they were really cool. I love that they are transparent and had a little bit of a color to them. So I definitely wanted to include them. I originally was thinking that maybe I would do some type of insert, but because I actually didn't write in my story journal this week at all, I think there was a post-it note on this week that said, I met with one of my friends and that it was a hard week. So I did not write any other stories down or items that I might tell for this week. So a lot of the stories that I would tell, I'm just kind of inferring from the photographs because that's basically what I know went on from the week is just from my photographs. So because I didn't have an insert, I thought it would be really cool to maybe put them on top of the pictures. Now, it doesn't bother me that, the photo has like a layer on top of it and then, kind of this quote on top of it, like with my kids' faces, because 2 of these photos that I'm choosing actually have my kids' faces on there. And it didn't bother me at all. Actually, I thought it was a cool, I thought it looked really cool. It didn't bother me that that type was over the face. And I thought this is something I would definitely love to do again, especially because I take pictures of my kids all the time. So I will have pictures and I will have those photos hopefully on my hard drive. So I'm not worried about adding something on top of it. And again, I say, I just thought this really looked cool. I love the way this worked out. Now, my second idea, actually, I was thinking, okay, so number 1, I was thinking of using them on an insert. And then number 2, my second idea is actually just putting them in the pocket and having it be transparent. But the problem is this spread that I'm using, the week prior, which I think was week 16, and then week 18 are completed. So I didn't want to take any of the photos or any of the stories off from the other weeks. So I just left it as is. But if you actually are doing this and you don't have like a week done on either side, you could actually just use it as a transparency so that you can see through the pocket, which I think would be really cool to do. So I think that would maybe be my first choice, but because that wasn't an option for me, I went with the other one, which is on top of the photos. And again, for the third time, I think it looks really cool. So that is something you guys can try also. All right, so now I'm working on my title card. I'm using the Studio Calico's Mega Date Stamp. I haven't used this in a while and I love it, so I need to pull it out more often. And I'm just gonna make a plain card that's a 3x4 plain white cardstock, stamping it on with some black ink, and then I end up putting a heart, one of the puffy hearts. I think I do that now, but you never know. Sometimes I go back and forth before I actually get some things finished. Ultimately, I decided I liked the smaller heart a little bit better, and so that is the title card for this week on the 3x4 card. And then I'm just, again, looking back at my chipboard and trying to decide, which ones I wanted to add. All right, so this is when I am working on this 4x6 card. So the circles say family is, and I, of course, came up with like 1-word answers. And I love how this turned out, you guys. I think I fast forward it a little bit, so you'll see some of it. I wanted you to see a couple of words. It is a messy process and it does take a little bit of time. It wasn't too much time actually, but it does take a little bit of time to stamp everything out. You can see that I'm like actually trying to clean off the stamps as I go. I think I did that one time and then I realized, I'm going to be doing a bunch of words. I'll just clean them all in the end. And it did kind of get messy. My fingers got messy. And sometimes the block would get messy and I'd have to kind of clean it off because I was trying to keep it off the card as much as possible. But I figure, sometimes stamps end up like falling and touching the card. And I'm just like, whatever. This is a messy process. It's totally fine if it ends up getting messy. It didn't, which is awesome. But I wouldn't worry about it too much if it does. If you really want this to be perfect, then you really should print it because then it will for sure be perfect. Or you could just print it onto cardstock and then create some word strips to the circle. So there's definitely ways of doing it in case you don't want it to get messy or in case you don't have a small stamp set like this. There's definitely other ways that you can do it. So anyway, it was a messy business though, but in the end you can see that I just decided to clean everything off in the end. But I really love how it worked out. I think I just really love that bold type. I think it's really fun and I like the way it looks in this spread for sure. All right, so I think the next thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to add this chipboard and I think I'm going to start on my journaling because that one was a little bit, I don't want to say stressful because it wasn't stressful, but that was one piece with this spread that I wasn't 100% sure about, like I mentioned, because I didn't take any notes for this week. So I was really, as I was working on this, I was trying to think about the stories that I wanted to tell from the week. And I knew that my daughter had a dance competition and I actually remember this particular competition. I remember them all. Photos definitely help, but that was one of the things that I ended up writing about. And then one of the other stories I wrote about was, you can see that I'm going to start doing the journaling now. The other story that I started writing about, the one that says a family story, I actually told because there's several pictures of cars that I took. And so I was telling the story about how my husband and my daughter love cars and it's something that they have in common. And I don't think I've ever really explored that. And I actually want to tell a longer story about that and do more of a scrapbooking page because that love of cars has moved on to F1 racing. And so there's just something for them together that has kind of connected them. And I love that. I love that they have that in common. So that's what I wrote about there. And then the other story was more of a letter to my kids, I guess you could say. I sort of talked about our family motto, which we've never technically had an official family motto, but years ago, my kids were really little. In jest, I said, I'm doing my best and my best has stains. And so it just sort of stuck. It's something that Adam and I would joke about a lot and kind of say to one another. And then it just kind of stuck with the kids. And so basically what I was writing about is all we can do is work really hard and give it the best we've got and do the best that we absolutely can do. And sometimes it's going to work out and sometimes we're going to fall short and our best is not going to be enough. And that's okay because we know we can look back and know that we gave it everything we had. So that's just a little bit about, I think, what that quote means about how, I'm doing my best and sometimes my best is messy and families are messy and complicated, and that's okay. We can get through it and we can get through it together, right? So that's a little bit about what I was talking about there. And I love being able to include little things like that, throughout the album, little letters like that. I just think it really adds to then the overall story that you're trying to tell. All right, you guys, so I am completely done with this spread. I really love how this turned out. I love the type. I love those big circles with, the type popping up from the photos. I just think it's really fun. So hopefully you guys are getting the subscription so you can play with this kit. It is a fun one. As always, if you guys have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below. And then you guys, we will catch you in the next video. Bye.